Warning. This video blog or vlog may contain harsh language and opinions that are not necessarily in line with YouTube or its partners or affiliates. YouTube does not openly endorse the content of this vlog. All opinions are expressly those of Ranting Ramsay and do not reflect on the opinions or values of YouTube, its affiliates, or its parent or partner companies.
Greetings, Internet people. RantingRamsay here. How are you all doing today? I'm not doing so badly. I've been better, but I've been worse, so I guess I can't really complain, although I'll probably find a reason to do so anyway. Oh, wait a minute. I'm about to. Huh. Imagine that. So, I anticipate this being relatively lengthy, so I'm going to try to skip the bullshit and get right into it as much as possible. And, what we're talking about today is some basic thoughts and concepts and ideas and whatnot that have been going through my mind as it pertains to the recent outage of PlayStation Network. Now, those of you who are not video gamers or not PlayStation gamers specifically, pardon me, may have no clue whatsoever what I'm talking about. And basically, the short and skinny of the situation is that almost 1 week ago, probably about 6.5 days ago, the PlayStation Network was brought down by an external intrusion. And since then, any owner of a PlayStation 3 has not been able to play any games online, access the PlayStation Store, or various other online services that Sony offers for free. We'll get to that. So, that's the basic short and skinny of it without going into the details of the attack, why it's down, or anything like that. What I'm actually specifically wanting to address lately is the reaction of a portion of the Sony gamers, the PlayStation 3 gamers, basically. And what's really been getting under my skin about this basic situation for the most part is something that I have addressed in one video a long time ago, called "You Get What You Pay For, and That's All." And that's basically the basic point that I want to bring up to you now. There is going to be a link in the description to a blog that I'm going to reference throughout this video by a guy who does blogs or writes for IGN. Now, IGN is normally a site that I like. I get a lot of good information from that site, but this particular person it's just got me face-palming left and right. I want to make a real quick side point. I understand a lot of the reason that some people watch my vlogs is because I do one-take vlogs, and I generally don't use a script or anything written down, but I will admit at this point in time that I have a very lengthy bit of information on my screen in front of me, so if it looks like I'm reading, it's because I am. Don't hold it against me. It's because I simply wanted to make sure that the points that were on my mind were made clearly and concisely as possible. So, getting into it, the first thing I have noted for myself here is that one thing I will say about this particular blogger is that I feel a bit of shame in admitting that he and I are both members of the gaming community and that we will be eventually lumped together by someone. There are a few things he says in this particular blog that are pure facepalm worthy when it comes to trying to fight gamer stereotypes. In short, he's not helping the cause that much, if you will. But the point of me bringing that up is this. This particular gamer, the author of the linked blog, seems to present the general idea or feeling that because he's chosen to make Sony and PS3 his gaming console of choice in his spare time, that in the privacy of his own home, and when he dedicates, quote, a lot of his spare time to Sony, that they owe him something in return. And basically the unfortunate truth, well, not even really unfortunate truth, but the bold, cold, hard fucking truth of the matter is that simply is not true. As he states in his blog, yes, this relationship between Sony and the consumer does not end at the cash register, but it does end at the cash register as it pertains to receiving additional goods and services. You get what you paid for, as I've said in the past, and that's all you're entitled to. You didn't and don't pay for the online service of PlayStation Network, and no matter how you may want to twist the logic around to present the argument that you did pay for the online service, you're wrong. You didn't, you don't. Get over yourself, and I'll get deeper into that in a few moments. The best thing I can think to do about this, the best thing I can think to do with, as it pertains to this whole PlayStation Network outage, is make an analogy. And I've thought long and hard about this, and one of the best analogies that I've come up with is as stated here. Let's say you frequent a very specific fast food restaurant and location. You're a regular at that exact fucking store, whether it be whatever fast food restaurant or whatever tickles your fancy. You're a regular there. You go there almost every day to buy something. That's the hypothetical we're setting up here. So you go there every day. You spend your hard-earned money there every day. But one day, as you pull up to your haven of saturated fats and cholesterol, you see a half-dozen fire trucks, EMTs, and police in the parking lot because the building is on fire. You will later find out that the fire was the result of arson, but you don't know that when you pull up to order your combo meal that you will now have to go without. The question is, does that fast food restaurant owe you anything at all, for not being open? Should they give you free food the next time you come by because they were unable to service your order due to the fire and the subsequent restoration that could take weeks? No! They owe you absolutely nothing. It is not their fault they were set on fire, and the fact that they were unable to take and fill your order due to the aforementioned fire entitles you to no compensation whatsoever. As much as people try to deny this by citing the relatively high price of gaming consoles, they do not owe you anything if a service they provide for free goes down due to outside influences. I think you see where the previous analogy is going when it comes to comparison. The amount of money you've expended on the product has nothing to do with it. They never outright promised you free online services. They simply said these services are free with us if you choose to buy our product. If that free service happens to stop functioning, you are owed nothing, as you have neither paid for nor compensated the provider for said service. Do we understand? It's a fairly basic and easy concept. That is the bottom line. All supposed shoulds and Fantasyland bullshit aside, that's reality. That's the way it is. If you don't pay for something, you are not entitled to its continued service, especially in the event of unforeseen outside circumstances. Try really hard to accept that. Those of you who are bitching and whining and pissing and complaining and moaning and saying that Sony owes you something. Now, to get to a different point, to vaguely address some of the points this person makes in his vlog, what exactly does he expect Sony to do? One of the points that he makes is that he doesn't necessarily feel that Sony owes him something, but that how they're handling this situation is unacceptable to its loyal users. It takes time to uncover the details of something like this, to fully understand what went wrong and what happened. And I, for one, apparently in the extreme minority in this case from what I've seen online, would rather wait for accurate, true information than demand instant gratification and get answers that may not be the correct ones. One of the points he addresses is that Sony's not being forthright with the information and they're not telling their users exactly what's going on quickly enough. Get over your fucking self. Tell me seriously. If Sony had started spouting off about this has been done and that was compromised and this, that, and the other before they really knew what was going on and then later corrected themselves, everyone would be hating on them for not knowing exactly what happened in the first place and giving them bad information. Sony is in a very bad situation. That much is obvious. But given the nature of the gaming community, which is one that's prone to flaming and quick, unreasonable reactions, as we have seen, there is no winning for them in this situation, them being Sony. No matter how they choose to handle this situation, they'll be criticized, flamed, and bastardized for it, no matter what. If they wait to find out what information is true and right and then give only true and right for information, they're being criticized for not giving the information fast enough. Whereas if they had just spouted rhetoric and what they think had happened and then later corrected themselves, we would then see them completely flamed and ostracized and bastardized for telling us what was wrong before they knew what was really wrong. Can't Sony get their shit together, blah, 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 blah. That's what would fucking happen. That is what's happening to a small degree. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. I, for one, am happy to wait for accurate information and explanations, and happy to wait for a free service that I don't pay for to be fixed and working properly again, whatever time frame it takes, because I don't fucking pay for it. It's not something that I am entitled to. It is a perk, a bonus, if you will, that I was given for choosing to purchase their gaming system. The online service is free. People in the Xbox Live community who have a 360 and pay for their online service would be in much more of a position to demand explanations and compensation if the same thing happened on Xbox Live, because they pay for the service. But as we who play on PlayStation 3 do not pay for the live service, we have no position whatsoever in reasonable reality and logical thinking to demand either quick explanations or compensation for this service. Now, those of you who subscribe to PlayStation Plus, that's a whole different ballgame. You pay money for a certain extended service, and you are possibly entitled to some compensation for that going down, but I don't even really necessarily think that that's particularly true, because this is an outside intrusion, unforeseeable. The equivalent of a restaurant burning down and not being able to give you food when you really wanted to go to fucking Burger King, and the only Burger King near you is burnt to the fucking ground when you show up. Does Burger King owe you a fucking free Whopper? Absolutely not. That's stupid. That's bullshit. And that's exactly what's going on in the gaming community right now, is that there are a lot of Sony PlayStation 3 gamers who are jumping up and saying that Sony owes them something for this outage, and that is simply, you guessed it, asinine. Absolutely fucking asinine. Sony owes you nothing. Nothing, unless you're paying for PlayStation Plus. Then maybe they owe you a month or two free of PlayStation Plus, depending on how long it fucking takes them to get this problem solved. That's pretty much what I have to say on this. I'm not touching on the details of what's happening or how I feel about the details of the intrusion or the attack or what's going on. That's not even what I'm trying to address here. What I'm trying to address here is the overinflated sense of consumer entitlement that the users of PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Network now seem to be exhibiting because a service they don't pay for is no longer functioning properly due to outside intrusion. How fucking retarded can you be? Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. I guess that makes me one of the few reasonable ones in millions. If that's the case, then so fucking be it. I'm RantingRamsay. That is all.
Hey, did you get all that, man?